President Biden just moments ago speaking as he is sitting alongside Ukrainian President Zelensky ahead of their critical bilateral meeting that's now taking place right now. They're both in France. As we know, the president has been there to mark and honor the greatest generation, the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And he has been making the connections of the threats to democracy and freedom back then and the direct line to the threats to democracy and freedom today, pointing directly to Russia's invasion of Ukraine as the example. Let's talk about what the president just said, though, first. We have CNN senior White House correspondent Kayla Tausche. She's traveling with the president. Stick with me, Kayla. Let's listen first to President Biden.
Thank you so much.
As I said yesterday at the American Cemetery, the Ukrainian people have been incredibly brave, never given up, never stained, never even yielding, and it's impressive. And you saw the reception you received when everyone stood and gave you a standing ovation, and they deserve it. You deserve it. And you haven't bowed down. You haven't yielded at all. You continue to fight in a way that is just remarkable. Just remarkable. And we're not going to walk away from you. I apologize for those weeks of not knowing what's going to happen in terms of funding, because we had trouble getting the bill that we had to pass that had the money in it from some of our very conservative members who were holding it up. But we got it done finally, and since then, including today, I've announced 6 packages of significant funding. Today, I'm also signing an additional package for $225 million to help you reconstruct the electric grid. But once we got the national security bill passed, that was a political issue. We were able to get it all done. And the way you've stood and holding on in Kharkiv, and you've proven once again the people of Ukraine cannot and will never be overtaken. And I assure you, the United States is going to stand with you. I've said that all during this debate. I continue to say it. The United States is standing with you. You are the bulwark against the aggression that's taking place. We have an obligation to be there. And so I'm looking forward to having a detailed discussion with you about where we go from here. But we're still in completely, thoroughly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. First of all, thank you so much for your significant support, your administration. We are very thankful from all Ukrainians to your military support, financial support, humanitarian one, and of course it's very important. And our meeting here is very symbolic. It's very important that you stay with us. This bipartisan support with the Congress, it's very important that in this unity, United States, America, all American people stay with Ukraine. Like it was during World War II, how the United States helped to save human lives, to save Europe, and we count on your continuing support and standing with us, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you so much. And this big package, which been signed it and supported and voted, and it's very important. It's so necessary for the feeling of our people that we are not alone. We are with you, with our strategic partner. And of course, I want today to speak about strengthening of Kharkiv region. You said already, it's so important. And your decisions have been had a very positive influence. I don't want to share everything, all the details with press, sorry. But I think there are some details on the battlefield which you need to hear from us. We are thankful for this. Also, I want to speak about terror defense totally on our territory, and we are thankful for participation in Peace Summit on the level of Vice President. Thank you so much. We think that we will have more than 100 countries, and I hope that it will be a first step on this way to peace. We need peace in Ukraine, but we will stay. Anyway, stay strong. And of course, I want to discuss some future events. Thank you again.
Thank you.
President, thank you.
A show sign of support very clearly in just sitting there together, and also in announcing a new aid package that President Biden was announcing for Ukraine, sitting right there. As I mentioned before, CNN senior White House correspondent Kayla Tausche is traveling with the president this morning. Fred Pleitgen is in Berlin for us. Kayla, talk to us about what's in this $225 million package.
Well, Kate, in this new aid package is ammunition, artillery, air defenses, and other critical systems that the U.S. will be providing to Ukraine as part of the sixth package that stems from that supplemental package that was passed earlier this spring after a 6-month delay. This, of course, comes ahead of President Biden's meeting with President Macron of France later this week and his G7 summit next week, and, of course, the NATO summit next month, where they will all be discussing new and novel ways to provide aid, not only military aid, but also financial aid to Ukraine as this war nears its third year. President Zelensky has asked NATO countries for more fighter jets, more Patriot anti-aircraft systems. He's made some very tall asks in what some allies have described as a shopping list that continues. But today the U.S. is committing yet another package, $225 million, to help Ukraine continue to make up for some of those losses on the battlefield. That is what the two presidents are going to be discussing in that meeting that you saw just now. President Biden's expecting to get a detailed state of play on what's happening in Ukraine, on the ground and in the air in that country, as he has just newly authorized Ukraine to be able to use some of the American-made weapons to strike just over the border into towns where Russia is unloading weaponry to be able to strike into Ukraine. That is a new capability, and the president is likely to get an update on how that is going in today's meeting. Later today, he's going to come where I'm standing right now, this breathtaking backdrop. It's called Pointe du Hoc. You may remember it from when President Reagan delivered a speech here 40 years ago, 1984, commemorating the 40th anniversary of D-Day. Now, we know that President Biden is going to be honoring one veteran in particular. His name is John Wardell, 99 years old. He served in the U.S. Army and landed here at Pointe du Hoc just days after the D-Day invasion, just days after those brave Army Rangers, 225 of them, scaled the 100-foot cliffs here at a high cost of life to destroy the German lookout positions that allowed the U.S. and allied forces to succeed on land and at sea on D-Day. We're expecting the president to talk about the heroism, the bravery of Wardell and others, and be joined in the audience by many French officials and local leaders, although at this point we do not expect the attendance of French President Emmanuel Macron. But there are going to be many themes that will draw parallels to the address that Reagan made 40 years ago, the dangers of isolationism, the power of democracy, and the desire to connect what happened here on that day and the bravery of those specific Americans to what is going on the front lines of Europe today, to try to make it real for people at home, as there are beginning to be some doubts about U.S. interventionism overseas as the U.S. continues to be involved in two hot wars that are now going on much longer than the administration expected.